Welcome back to the ColdFusion CF forum. This is Nathan Stanford Sr. Let's see what we can get done today. I've made a few changes. Let's see. I decided to make changes, so what I did here in the SQL, you've got the new changes, the old. Here's the old database, and I switched out a few things. Actually, this is not the old. I made the changes anyway. Instead of having member underscore ID or member ID, I now have ID for every table. I do keep my tables plural. There's a lot of different standards out there, and I happen to like Laravel, and one of its standards is tables are plural, and I kind of agree with that in my mind. That plural tables means they're holding like posts. They're holding many posts. It's not just one post, so it's not a post table. It's a post with an S table because it's got many. Then what I do for the primary key is I just make it I automatically for every single table. Now, when you go to thread underscore ID, you know that is a foreign key connection to the threads table. And I've got it singular because it's a singular thread connecting to the thread table. Same thing with member. I also like to do created at, updated at, and in some cases I even do created by and updated by. So if you're working on a project that they want to see who all has actually been working with it, the data, you can actually have a log of who is the last person that updated it, what time were they updated, at what date, and this is just a nice thing you can do. So I've got that in here, so it will end up in the version control in the Git repo when you go to look for it. I'm also looking at these folders, and considering what we're building, I'm just not happy with the way these look. The parcels is where everything seems to be going. So how can I change this? I'm not using anything in the lib folder, so I'm going to delete it. If I end up needing one, I will do it. Now logs, it's something I might do at some point. I'm going to delete it. Under pages, I don't have a page for this forum. It's literally the forum. So I'm going to delete it. Why? Because I'm not using it. This is for my header, footer, and nav. I like to do that in most applications. This is where I would normally put a config file. I'm not using it right now because most of my configuration is inside of my application CFC. So I'm deleting it. I may add it back later. Here's my CFCs. Here's all of these. I'm going to leave them alone for now. Under assets, I've got the CSS file, JavaScript, but let's just look. I have some stuff in CSS, so we will keep that. In JavaScript, I have nothing. So for right now, I'm literally going to delete that. If we decide to add something there, we can. In fact, I'm going to delete the folder. So let's see, backgrounds. I'm not really doing any backgrounds, so I'm deleting that. So now we have icons. I don't have anything in the icons. I'm going to delete that. Now I'm not going to delete the images folder because I'm hoping I will end up putting images. You know what? I'm going to delete that. When we go to input images, then I will do it. So let's see here. Under admin, I do not have anything yet, but I'm leaving that because I know I want an administrative page or an administrative version of when you log in, what you will see. So everything is in partials. Well, that's not really a good thing. So we're going to move some stuff around. So down here under views, we have the categories index and we have the members index. So let's see here. If we go back to the page and we hit refresh, I've deleted a lot of stuff, but everything still works. So we're fine. Let's go back. What else can we do? I don't want to just have partials. I do like views. So let's see here. What are the things I'm using? Here are these cards are those little sections. So I want to go and put this under views, and I'm going to say, let's go back and look at the application. There is the large latest discussions. There is the hot topics. Then over here, there is the email section. That's the login section. the forum statistics section, the top contributors, and the recent members. So what can we do to make this make more sense? First thing we're going to do is we're going to look at each of these. When I add something to a discussion, hot topics, that is going to have to be a decision on how we're going to do hot topics. But for now, if you enter a discussion, it's going to be here, showing up here, the latest discussion that shows up in the top X number. So this is going to be latest discussion. So let's go look at our index, our root index. So this first partial on the top left. So let's see here. We have, this is card 1. So card 1 is technically that latest discussions. So let's make this make more sense. So we're going to have members, we're going to have categories. What would we call this? This would be kind of like discussions, topics, threads. If we look at our SQL and we think about it, we go right here, or we go here to my ERD, which if you do Markdown preview inside of VS Code, if you don't have an extension, you can go to your extensions, find a one that will display Markdown, and you can display it. You can see members, categories, threads, and then if we scroll down, we see posts. So technically, this first page is the latest threads. So what I'm going to do is we're going to call this threads or discussions. If someone was ever to happen to see the folder, I would probably rather it be discussions, because that would match the name of the section it's in. So under views, we're going to come down here, and on views, we're going to say we're going to create a new folder called discussions. And because I want to make sure I'm spelling everything right, I'm going to go copy this and make sure I named it and spelled it correctly. As a programmer, sometimes I don't spell as well as I would like, so I just want to make sure it's lowercase discussions. So then let's look at the next thing. The next thing is this hot topics. So I could, just inside of the discussions, put the hot topics. This is the hot topics of discussions. This is the latest discussion, so that's fine. So let's move this back down and let's go look over here. We have forum statistics. That's not related. It is related to discussions in the sense it's creating stuff. But this is the forum statistics, the top contributors and recent members. This is kind of membership related. Who's the top members? Who's the top contributor? And okay, so we kind of get that. So let's see. Let's create a folder, but we already have a folder called members. We don't really have anything in there yet. And we have one called categories. Not even sure we need that just yet. So let's take card 1, which is the latest discussions. Let's move that to discussions. Well, I tried. Let's move it again to discussions. We're going to rename it now to latest. And since it's in discussions folder, I'm not even going to rename it latest discussions, just latest. And then hot topics, we're going to look at that. That's this. We're going to drag it down into discussions, and we're going to rename it. You could just call it hot, but I'm going to go ahead and call it hot topics. And there we go. So now we have that. So we need to go back to our index page and say, okay, it's not in the partials anymore. Where is it at? This first one's in views / discussions / and now let's go ahead and get rid of that and hit / after it's okay. We forgot to put an S on views, so if we delete this and we look, If we hit slash, it shows the folders that you have to choose from under views. So click discussions and then hit // This first one's going to be the latest because that's the one we want on top. So we're going to do the same thing here. Delete all this and just type views with an S, hit slash, and we still want discussions, slash. This time we want the hot topics. So what we're going to check is I'm going to put the number 1 here. I like to do that so when I refresh, if nothing happens, yes, it didn't break, but you don't know. I could have just simply changed a different page somewhere else and it didn't make a change. I like to see some sort of change on my page most of the time when I hit refresh to try to see stuff. So now it's got a 1. So that means these two are now being called from the views folder. Okay, so now let's look and see what else do we have. We have these other cards that are named card. We don't want that. So we're going to say, okay, 3, 4, and 5 are going to go into members. And I'm just going to copy all of them. And we're going to come down here to members and we're going to paste them in. Well, you know what? I kind of think these login should go there. I will leave it for now. I might change it later. But what are these top 3 again? So let's go look. The top 3, they are form statistics, that's this, top contributors, and recent members. So let's just go back here. So here we can see form statistics. So let's rename this card, rename, but let's start with lowercase and then uppercase every word after that. And then we want to go to card number 4. Card number 4. We want to do top contributors. Excuse me. We want to rename this top contributors and we want a lowercase t. Then we want to go to card. I changed the wrong one. So let's change this and then we will change that one back. Copy this, rename, paste, and change the R to a lowercase r. So now we have recent members. Let's go back to card 4 and try this again. So if I'm going to copy this, then I'm going to right click on card 4, which I obviously didn't before. Change the T at the beginning. So now I've got those. So now let's go back to our main index, our home index. We need to change these. So first we delete all this and we say we want to go to views / we want to go to members. Now I meant to delete that too. So we hit /. So this first one's going to be form statistics, I believe, was what was on top, or was it? Let's go look. Yes, top contributors is second. So let's just delete this and we will say that and we will say go to views and we want to go to members and we want to go to top contributors. So same thing here. We're going to delete these views, members, and recent members. Is that right? Yes, recent members. How soon someone has joined. So let's see, what else can we do? We've just cleaned that up a little bit. We'll get rid of the 1, so we should see that go away. So all of this now is broken out. Partial still has the login stuff. So I'm not sure I want to change it. Let me think. Let me go back and look at the index. Partials. Yeah, let's change it. That doesn't make sense to move the others and not move it as well. So we will create a new folder. And I guess, I don't know, call it login, call it security. I'm just going to call it login. Not sure that's the best choice, but you can do whatever you want. So I'm going to copy this, and actually I'm going to drag it down here. So now it's in here. So now I need to point out where that file folder is in here. And this could have problems with some of the other issues we've got going on. So now we are wanting to say views, login, and then the name of the file. So I'm going to copy this, come down here, and paste. So now we've made that change. Okay, so another thing we want to do is when you log in, you're going first to look to see, are you logged in? If not, you're going to get the login form. So this is technically the login form. So why don't we change it and name it the login form? That's a small change, but let's go back now to index, not that one, this one. Now we want to call it login form. So when you're looking at this code, you immediately know in the views folder under login, there's a thing called form. Well, nope, that's not right. There's a thing called login form. So let's just delete this, hit the slash, login form. There you go. So now let's go make sure that we haven't broken anything. Let's move this out of the way. And let's go back to our page, hit refresh, reload. The login's still there. And looky here, we've got something missing. Okay, let's find out. The first one's form statistics. So after form statistics, top contributors. Let me see. Why is this not working? Down here at index, we are. Oh, I think I know why. So let's see about fixing this. And my cursor has gone crazy. There it is. So I'll show you something you can do. If you highlight both of them and you're in VS Code, you can do Control D and it will highlight this next one that looks exactly like it. So then I can hit the right arrow, hit the left back up till I get to there, where now I've deleted those. Hit save, and it works. So let's go find out. Does it work? We'll hit refresh, and now those come back just fine. So we're going to go back to working on this login, but before we do, we want to validate a few things. Let's close all of this for a second. The login form is the first place we go. So here in the login form, and hopefully this font's plenty big, I will zoom in a little. That way you'll have plenty of room. Notice this partials. That's something we moved. So instead, we need to go views / login and then login check. So let's do that. Okay, so it's not going to show login. Here, I'll just put it back. Login check. So we know it's under views, under login, then login check. So we need to make sure there's nowhere else we're using partials in any of this login code. And we also need to test all of this. This is the form. When it gets submitted down here, if you say register, there's partials again. So let's, instead of doing that, instead of typing it in, let's copy this. So sometimes if you have a lot of stuff, you may want to cut and paste. The more you can learn to do things quickly, the better. In this instance, I'm not in a hurry. I'm just trying to show you different possibilities so when you are on the job, you can think of things to make your job faster. One of the things is, if you notice here, this is line wrapping. If I'm in a situation where I'm zoomed out and I don't like it line wrapping, I can hit the Alt key and the Z key, and now it's not line wrapping. Hit it again, it's back to line wrapping. So I can zoom in and you can see all the lines. So now let's see where we're at. We want to get a little further along. So let's check all of these files real quick. In here, let's actually do this. We will do edit and we will do find in files. We will take partial. Well, was going to type partial, and let's see, partials, excuse me. So here's one with partials, and this is going to be that same views login that I saved earlier and I copied and pasted. Here's another partials, paste that. I don't see any more coming up over here. That's a good thing. When you're on VS Code and you look up here and you see a little round dot that's all white, it means you haven't saved the file yet. Now, there's two choices. You could hit Control S like any other application and it will save. Or you can go in here and check autosave. There's another thing you can do is you can go in here to settings and you can type save and you can see autosave. I have mine because I like it this way. Now, you may not like it this way, so change it to what you like best. I have it set to on focus change. You can have it after a delay, or when a window changes, you can do all of that. The thing is the on focus change, what I like about that is if you go back and look, remember this was not saved? Let's actually hit a space. Okay, see how it's not saved? So I can do any kind of focus change. I can click over here and it's saved. I can delete those, and the minute I change, it saves. So I can go back here, I can hit this. I can leave VS Code completely and go to the browser. It's saved. When we go back here, you can see it's saved. I like it to save. Now, one thing you can do is you can always do Control Z to undo. If you really want to check out the Control Z undo, you may still want to go back to settings and say undo. So if you look here, restore undo stack when the file is reopened. So if you save and you've made some changes and you have to go to lunch or you have to go to the bathroom, you come back from the bathroom or from eating lunch with your co-workers, it will still have, even if you've closed the browser and you reopen it, it has all the last changes you've made. Here, you can have it ask for undoing. You can enable. You can undo and redo per cell. There's all kinds of things you can do. So you want to learn little by little the things that you like that help you do your job and do it more efficiently. Your job is about completing a task, but your job is also about completing a task as quickly as you can because the client's paying for you and they want their money's worth. So let's now look at the login again. I think I've made all the changes. I don't think we had this totally fixed. We have it partially fixed. So I'm going to hit register and this pops up. Okay, so that's a problem. So I hit register. Let's go back and click on home, which will bring this back up. So let's go check on register. But before we go to register, we got to go to login form. So here we're saying you're needing to go to .views, login, register. So let's go back to the files. We are in the root. We were in partials. That's now empty, but we're now in views. So it should take us to register. It took us to the login page to get this login form. So let's see here. Categories, discussions, members. Let's close all those. So we're wanting to go to register right here. I'm not sure why it didn't work. I'm going to try to see if we can figure this out. So the login form should go to the current folder, but what we're going to do, we're going to make a change to this. The root application that I'm in is the cf_form. So we'll do cf_form. Well, I'm going to have to go back and type that because my cursor went away. So we'll say / / because that's going to the root, cf_form. And then from there we go to view. So let's see if this register works, because if it does, then we've got some more things to change. So we click register, and it does. So since it does, we know this is what we should be doing. We need to be able to, when we're trying to get to the HTMX code, we need to be able to pass this in. So let's go back here. Notice I have web URL, this.web.url, so /cf form. So if I go back here and I simply delete that and I do # paste. Now, why am I doing this? I want everywhere in the application that I'm passing it, that I'm needing to have this path, I want it to be put into dynamically, because what if I install this somewhere else? At work, I decide, okay, I'm going to bring this form I've been playing with and working on, and I'm going to bring it in, and I'm going to put it in another location. Or I'm at work and I build this application, and now I'm going to move it to another place, and the root folder is going to be the web root. Well, if it's going to be the web root, I can just delete this, or I can delete it completely and make it blank. Or what if it's going to be just a form? They don't have to know it's a ColdFusion form. So you make these choices, and you don't want to have to go through every single page in your application and find all of these paths. Now, in some of these, it's going to work anyway because it is the correct relative path. But what I'm going to recommend you do for a lot of these places is for you to go ahead and say, we want this to work. Here's a login check. So let's actually do this login check. So if I click on home and I simply say login, now this went to the wrong location. Refresh, login. So it's got to go to login check. So we'll have to figure that out. So this is supposed to go to login check. Well, when we get here, we see what's happening. We're going to validate. We're going to show the form dump. So let's go back to login form, and let's see if we look at this. One of the problems I see is this here is not inside of a ColdFusion CF output, which means the URL it was trying to go to is pound. So it thought it was going to a target, and the rest of it was just text that was going to be used for something. So we're going to go CF output, and then we're going to go to the very bottom, and we're going to do another CF output. And I had someone in one of the ColdFusion forums in Facebook asking a question. Should you do it this way, or should you put CF output around each and every one of these? Does it go back to the server every single time? No. When it goes to load the page, this page is generated one time, loaded by the ColdFusion, read through, creates an HTML page, sends the HTML page one time. This will not go back. Now, the minute you click on something doing a login check, or the minute you click, then it has to go get that information, but only that information. So now that we're doing this, and it's inside a CF output, anywhere you're targeting a ID, you need to add another hash, because you have to escape the hash by adding a second hash. Otherwise, it will throw an error, and sometimes you won't even know why. So let's come down here. Let's add a hash here. Whoops. Add a hash here. Another thing we need to do is we've got that. Okay, so let's see here. We added a hash. I don't see any more hashes. Sometimes I would even go so far as to say hash and start looking for them, so I'm not going to make a mistake. So that I think is fine. So let's go back here. We'll hit let's just click home, which reloads. So if I click login, notice it went to login check and it did the dump. So everything's fine. So let's go back to home, click on register, and now register's coming up. But let's go check each of these and try to make sure that we're going to put a CF output around these. CF output, and we got to go to the bottom here, put it ending CF output, which means you need a slash. And so now that I've got that, now I could tab it over, which I do. I didn't on the other one. I might go back and fix it at some point. But what we need now is for all of these hashes, we need to find how many there are. It looks like there's 2, so we'll just paste that here, come down here to the second one, paste that here. We'll go back to the login form, and we will grab this web URL. I could have typed it, but it is not a thing to do that sometimes you cut and paste. So we've got these 2 views. So we paste this here. I don't see any more issues on this page just looking at it. So this could be fine. This could be messed up, but it's going to, here it's going to username exists. It's going to check to see if the username exists. So let's go first and hit home. So it reloaded this. Now we can click register, but where's it going to go after register? We didn't look at that. Up here, when the form's submitted, it's going to go to submit user. So let's go to submit user. We need, once again, CF output, but we're not going to do it up here in the CF script because everything up here that I'm seeing is okay. We're going to put our CF output down here, and we're going to copy and come down here, paste, put an ending to it, and then tab it over. We're going to look here at the variable. This variable here would not have worked without the CF output, but it already has one. So what do? Well, because I'm doing the whole page, I'm going to get rid of these in here. It's okay to have them in there if you're not going to add anything else, and we're probably not going to add much else. But I decided to move them outside in case I want to add more information. Like I may want to do top coder, and then maybe the top category that this person has been doing. So let's go see if I've failed, and let's just see what happens. Night coder. Oh, hold on a minute. Let me hit refresh. Register. Top. Okay, so it's going to check, and when it goes to check, there's an error happening. So let's just go, let's see here. We're inside of register. Let's see here. Register. We're inside of here. Here you're typing, and then here it's going to check and see if username exists, and it's going to throw an error. It's going to check it at 500 milliseconds, which is half a second. It's going to put any errors down here. So we need to check username exists, and we're like, okay, well, that's not going to be easy because what if the problem is in here? Well, there is some problems. So here we've got the query, and down here we've got an output around this. So if it exists, here we got the buttons. So let's actually just type this word here, username exists file. So let's go back here. Let's hit home, and we will start typing. Oh, wait, we're not going to log in. We're going to click on register. We're going to type night coder. Well, it went to go get it. For some reason, I see what the problem is. It's not actually a bad problem, but see this show debug false. So let's actually, if we're going to check and see if the username exists, we need CF setting show debug equals, I think you may even have to put it in quotes. Maybe that's what's wrong. Let's find out. It's been a little bit, so we probably need to stop for today, but let's just see if what we did solved the problem. So we start typing night, and once again, debug information is showing up, and it's between here and here, so we don't want that to happen. So let's go back. We're here in register. As we're typing in our username, it's going to go to username exists. And I have this, so I'm not sure why right at the moment it's showing debug output. I think it's going somewhere different than I'm thinking. So we're inside a register. Down here is the register button. Here is email password. Here it's going to check and see if this username exists. It is under login. Well, let's just see. If we go to username exists, let's actually comment out everything. Still feel like something else is what's going on. So let's go back now, and we'll click on home, click on register, night, and it's coming back with nothing, but the debug is showing. So that is an issue that I got to rectify. I thought that this show debug output false was correct. Maybe I got it spelled wrong or something. Let's go back here. We don't have it here. So let's actually do it the other way. I could go look for it, but let's just go Adobe show debug output. So if you don't know where to go, there's multiple places. Here's CF setting. So let's just say I wanted to check for CF setting, ColdFusion CF setting, and then there's also this CF docs. So we'll go both places. We'll go here, and you can see show debug output, yes or no. And then we'll come back here, we'll scroll down, and this one's got show debug output false. So one of them, probably both of them, works. So let's just see what happens if I paste this in. CF setting. Is it CF setting or CF settings? So let's look. If I come back here and I go here, we can see it's CF setting. So let's go back and we will put without the S, show debug output. No, we don't want it to show. So maybe false works, but it's not working for some reason. Let's go back and click on home, register, and let's type night. We're still getting the debug. Okay, fine. Let's look and see. What does it say? It says it's getting it in username exists. So let's actually do this. This is username exists. Let's actually do username exists. Okay, I'm confused. I'm not sure why. But let's hit refresh, register, and it's still happening. CF form login username exists. And if I go back here, I see username. I don't see where I put username exists. I don't see where that's showing up. So I think sometimes it's cached. It's trying to be helpful, but let's just find out if it's cached. What we can do is go to this application.cfc, change the name of our application, which then puts it in a different cache. So I don't really want it to be caching. Why do I have this in here twice? Get rid of that. That's not the problem, but I'm getting rid of it because I saw it. Let's go back here. We will go home, register, and we will type night. We're still getting the debug. Okay, I'm going to stop here. If you know what's wrong, let me know. I will figure it out and let you know, but you try to look at the code. I'm going to go commit it to the repo. You check it out, see if you can figure it out. Thank you. Have a good day.